activated. Your weekly football fix kicks off now.
You can follow the LFC Total Red Football Podcast on X, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok.
The Total Red Football Podcast with myself, Kings. Joining me tonight, we've got Kev and we've got Neil. We're going to be talking about Darwen Nunez' proposed transfer to Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia. We're also going to be talking about the two games against Athletico Bilbao on Monday, which the Reds won both games. Tyler Moreton's transfer to Lyon, and maybe Harvey Elliott's transfer to RB Leipzig as well, as amongst other things. So we've got a lot to get through. The first thing, I'll say hi first. All right, Kev, how's it going?
All good, mate. All good. You?
Yeah, good, thanks. Good. Neil, how are you?
Yeah, all good, thank you. Trying to keep up to date with everything that's going on. There seems to be news breaking every half hour. So,
yeah, it does. And we're very
entertained.
Yeah, and we're very close to obviously the beginning of the season as well. We will touch on the Charity Shield, which is coming up this weekend. First things first, guys. I wanted to mention on the 22nd of July, 2025, Joey Jones, former Liverpool player, passed away, age 70. His honours were he won the Football League First Division in 76-77 season. He won 2 European Cups, one of them in the same season, 76-77, and the following season in 1977-78 season, UEFA Cup, 75-76, and the European Super Cup in 1977. Also once voted in the top 100 Liverpool players. I think he was highly respected at Anfield, to be fair. Played under Bob Paisley, obviously, and I think his loss has been felt in a few different places. Huddersfield he played for Chelsea, he played for Wrexham 3 times as well. But at Liverpool, I think they look back fondly with the big banner that was put out, obviously, that I think recently he was reunited with. Only a couple of months ago, he was reunited with a few ex-Liverpool players, and they did a piece in the local press about reuniting with the banner. It'd be sadly missed, won't he, Kev?
Absolutely. Goes down as one of an iconic player who played for the club. His honours came at a time when the club was very dominant, not only within the league domestically, but also in the European stage. Is that actual banner? Joey at the frog legs, made the Swiss roll. Now he's munching Gladbach. It's iconic. It's unique.
It is.
It sums up Scouse humour and shows how much the fans looked up to him as a player at the club. Sadly missed. Gone too soon.
Yeah, Neil, do you echo them sentiments?
Yeah, absolutely. Did you say 70, Kings?
He was just turned 70. Yes,
it's far too young. And
he'd been ill for a number of years, declining health, so it wasn't a shock, maybe. But yeah, he's only 70 years old. Yeah,
horrible news. Someone that will go down in Liverpool folklore. As Kev said, he was there at a period where Liverpool was starting to become very successful, and he had a long career, didn't he? Because I think he almost had 600 games for the clubs that he played for. I think he had multiple spells at Wrexham.
He did,
3 at Liverpool, Huddersfield, Chelsea, and over 70 caps for Wales. So tremendous career, very respected, which you can see from the tributes that have come in. Sad news.
It's Joey's somebody luckily enough, I can call a friend. And I've met Joey many times, had long chats with him, and done a couple of times, I've done career interviews with him for different radio shows and things like that. And one of the stories that always stood out, and it's proved to me how humble he was talking about winning the European Cups. So you think to yourself, now this is a big deal. It's Liverpool FC, European Cups, all this. And he said, I went 2 European Cups, Joey, blah, blah, blah. And he went, no, 1 European Cup. I said, no, 2 European Cups you've won. He went, no, 1, because I only come on a sub in the other one, so that doesn't really count, does it? He goes, I've got the medal somewhere. You know what I mean? And it was just the way he would joke about it. He was like, well, I only come on a sub, it doesn't count. And I was thinking, hang on, you've still got 2 medals, Joey. You're still a European Cup winner twice. But that's just the way he was. He was a really humble guy, really easygoing, and unfortunately gone too soon, and it'd be sadly missed. But I at least wanted to mention Joey at the top of the show being a former Red, obviously. The next thing we're going to talk about, guys, is the news has come out about Darwen Nunez possibly going to Al Hilal. There's been lots of rumours. We've talked a couple of times on different shows about, is he going to stay? Is he going to go? It looks like he's definitely going out the door. If you'd have said to me he's going to Saudi Arabia, I'm quite surprised, to be honest, that somebody else hasn't taken a punt on him, because there's been rumours of Spain and Italy, etc. And now all of a sudden it seems they've reached an agreement, and I think it's apparently 53 million euro, is it, with add-ons? So, Neil, are you surprised it's Saudi Arabia and he hasn't got someone else, maybe?
I think potentially he may have wanted to go somewhere else, but I think the issue was that the fee that we were after, I'm not sure that any of the top European clubs could pay. Napoli had a go, didn't they? I think they were bidding around 55 million euros in total, but we turned it down. And I think because we knew we could get that extra bit from Saudi, it's kind of been steered in that direction. And other European clubs had the opportunity to come in. It's been going on for a number of weeks. So I'm not surprised that we've agreed a deal with a Saudi club. And looking at the wages that are being reported that he's going to get, he's going to earn very well out of it. So he's going to be well compensated. I doubt whether it was his preference to go to Saudi. He's still a young man, 25, 26. And I'd like to have seen him go somewhere else in Europe and see how he fared in Serie A or La Liga, because I think there's definite talent there, but unfortunately, it was not going to be fulfilled at Liverpool. So yes and no. I am surprised from his perspective, but I'm not surprised that we've agreed to deal with a Saudi club.
Neil, what's your sorry. Kev, what's your thoughts on it?
Exactly, copy paste everything what Neil said. I think the biggest thing, fundamental thing, was the fact that they offered was it nearly 90 million in January for him, so we knew there was money there. My only slight concern was that what I heard was that Napoli or Italian clubs were looking for a loan to buy, which I don't think is the right way to deal with it, because you tend to get at the end of them, as United found out with Jadon Sancho recently, that we'll just pay the 5 million and send them back to you. So I'm quite happy that he has come there. I think he needs to. I think he needs himself to move away from all the limelight and get his head back in track. Now, whether he can do that in Saudi, I don't know, but there is a player there. I'm not hard. No, I don't care what people say. I based it on the game I saw against Benfica, that the season when he was playing for Benfica, and that was one of the best players I've actually seen, apart from Benzema playing up front. The issue we always had with him is that he never suited our style. He adapted as much as he could to us, but we never adapted our formation or style. Shame how it's gone. But that's how you move someone on with 3 years left on his contract. So put Liverpool in a strong situation, and shows other clubs how to deal with someone who's got 3 years left on the contract, and maybe a different situation to a certain barcode team, but it shows that if it's dealt with correctly and you have the right people in place and not just your brother who's looking at Twitter all the time, it works out better for you.
Like and subscribe to the LFC Total Red Football Podcast on YouTube.
Yeah, I think I was quite hopeful when Slot took over, and I've said it on other podcasts that he'd had his chance under Klopp, and I thought, somebody else coming in, he might be able to tweak something in him, and it hasn't worked again for another season now. So I can understand why they're saying let's cut our losses. I was slightly perked up by the fact that he'd had his haircut this summer, and I thought, you know what, he's gone for a change. He's going to go for it a little bit different now. He's going to be different beast, and he has scored in pre-season, but I think the club sensibly are looking at it, going, if we can cash in on him, It's not working. Obviously, Arne Slot has decided he wants it a different way, maybe up front. And we're seeing that now starting to evolve with the players he's bringing in. So I can understand why they've gone for the selling option, like you say, Kev, not the loan option, because I don't think that really works. It doesn't. It's overhanging for another season just in case he comes back. So I think selling him is the right thing. Whether that's his first choice, it's probably not. But then I've read some of the figures. You know, there's something like, is it like 430,000? Is it a week they were talking about, or a month, or what? I was just like, but
a week. I think it was euros. Yeah, 400,000 euros.
Wow. But it's the trade-off. Yes, you can secure a lot for your family and your future, but you're playing in a league that, you know, doesn't get a lot of attention really. Even though Cristiano Ronaldo's there and he's trying to make it bigger, it's not the place to be. But we'll have to see if that gets over the line. It is a shame that it hasn't worked out for him, and I would love to have seen him being a cult hero even more maybe at Liverpool. But it's just one of them. We've got to cut our losses and move on. But we shall see when that's finally announced. I was talking to Kev just off air, and I was reading something on X, Twitter as it used to be, by LFC News on there. So I'll give them their due for putting it out. But it talks about the ins and outs, and Liverpool are quite well known for their net spend that people go on about. Now, me and Kev have discussed this in detail since, a bit differently, but they've put out on there that Frimpong 30 million, Wirtz 100, Kirkes 40, Ekitike 69 million. That's a total of 239 million pounds spent. And then it says Kwanzaa 30, Kelleher 18, Trent 8.6, Diaz 65, Moreton 15, which we'll talk about shortly, and potentially Nunez at 56 million is a total of 192 million pounds back in. So far a net spend of 46 million. If you add into that Harvey Elliott going out, then you know you could be getting to a point where you're almost zero net spend, and lots of Liverpool fans always quote this, and fans around, especially the Premier League, are asking how Liverpool spend so much, and this is what they do. They sell very good, and Edwards has always been very good at this, getting the best kind of prices. You know, are you surprised even this summer, Neil, that potentially they could look on paper to break even again?
I don't think we will, because I think there's with Nunez going, I think there's possibly a
maybe scope for something else.
Yeah, coming in, but yeah, I think when we all looked at it at the start of the window, I don't think anyone would have envisioned. Everyone knew that we had a number of assets that we could move on, and we could move on for fairly significant money. I don't think anyone dreamt that we would be in for Florian Wirtz, looking at Ekitike, getting him in, and looking at the likes of Isak as well. So I think we will spend more, and I think the net spend will probably end up, 150 million plus. But I think when you look at the players that have been bought in, and the players that have left, and you look at what that's done to the overall level of the squad, I think it will move it significantly upward. So yes, it's probably more than we would spend net, and what we have spent net over recent years. But I think we will have uplifted the capability of the squad heavily, and possibly most importantly, we've given the manager, I should say, the head coach, more players that he will hopefully trust, because it was quite clear last season that we had good players like Harvey Elliott, Endo, etc. that we wanted to see given more minutes, but he didn't seem to trust. So I think, yes, we've managed our finances well, as we always do. I think the net spend gap will grow again when we start to spend again. We also need a centre back, but I think we've uplifted the capability and provided Slot with a lot more options that he will trust.
Now, Kev, we talked about looking back, when John Barnes was signed and Peter Beardsley, and we're saying the prices they came in for, like John Barnes, you say it was £900,000?
Yeah.
And when you look at that, we didn't look at it and go, it's £900,000 we're getting John Barnes. We were just like, it's John Barnes. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. And as it turned out, he did more than that. And it used to be, you'd just sign a player. You'd be happy that player's come in. Now, Everybody wants to know every single detail of everything. You know, they track planes, they follow cars, you know, coming to the training ground. We talked about the length of contract and the way it's split now over that. I would never have considered that a few years ago, how, you know, you pay £50 million to sign a 5-year deal, so it's £10 million a year, etc. The way, and it's changed so much now how fans dig into like the details of every transfer, isn't it?
Yeah, it's what is now feasible to your normal fan. Your normal fan's now an accountant, knows revenues basically inside out, knows words like amortization, which as a fan you shouldn't need to know about that. Treating players as assets, which is how the club would perceive them on the books. And that amortization is then spread over the 5-year contract of a player. Knowing the loopholes that Chelsea have tried to do and putting people on 8-year contracts because they can divide the amortization over that a little bit longer. That's been cut off. Selling financial assets to your sister club, which I think every Premier League club will not vote out, because I think that's a way around, a loophole around PSR that a lot of clubs would be in favour of. And I wouldn't see a day in which at some point we do that. I think every club will utilise that at some point. I hope we don't, but you never say never. But that's the way things have gone. We were very limited on what you were getting from the club. You always found out what the club was doing via the programme at the end of the financial year or at the end of the season, or if a new player was being signed, that would be put in. That was what the utilisation of a programme was. Sadly, I've got an encyclopedia of every Liverpool programme since 1950 to 2022 or 3, and it talks about how that was done and why programmes were useful for communicating with your fans. That was the only way to do it. But the way things have gone now, and you've got the likes of Mo Chatterer, you've got Swiss Ramble, you've got podcasts on it, you've got Kieran Maguire as well, who's very in-depth. And there's a lot more that provide that kind of that'll provide you with that, and you can get lost within that and find yourself coming out as an actual accountant for you to go through the books for your own club. But that's the way modern football's going at the minute, and it's crazy that you know, as fans, we're taking that spend to another level, and it's right. So how much amortization was left on Nunez? Okay, how much are we getting back? Okay, so do we get a profit? Yeah, it works out as a profit of about 9 million based on what we're getting. You know, the figures, is that including add-ons? Is that not including add-ons? It's a minefield and you can get lost in it. But sadly, that's the way as football fans we now have to think.
I think it was always the case of you turn up at 3 o'clock, go home at 5 o'clock, you watch a game of football, and then you go back the next week, or if you go away, or etc. Now, like I say, football, as Neil said before as well, there's so much. We're doing a podcast about Liverpool, and there's lots of Liverpool podcasts. There's lots of podcasts about so many different sports and teams, etc. That it is literally 24/7 news now, because it doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you tweet out, it'll gather some traction, etc. And you think, right, you can't get away from it anymore. It doesn't bother me. Most of it, I just filter out. I don't see most of it, to be honest. And even these players like Ekitike coming in, I'm not going to sit here and profess I'm the biggest know-all about his game, which we will mention a little bit when we talk about the pre-season games. But now I've started to see him play. It's like, okay, I'll make my own judgments on him, and see if he's any good, etc. But I don't know, there's some people delve very deeply into football clubs and players, etc. And it's like, sometimes I have to switch off. Otherwise, you'd never get anything done in life, I'll be honest. But there we are. A couple of the players that I mentioned earlier that potentially could be going out. The first one I'm going to pick is Harvey Elliott. There's rumours that RB Leipzig are interested. Still in the early stages, apparently, but he could be moving out. Now, I know when he first came into the club, he said he's a boyhood Liverpool fan, etc. And we've discussed before, could he do a job at Liverpool? It just seems he is the same as Nunez. Maybe he just doesn't fit into Slot's plans. And that happens when a new manager comes in, or head coach. It's just they have their own ideas. And as much as we particularly like a certain player, it's not down to us at the end of the day. If they can get a fee for him and he's not in the plans, he'll go. Are you surprised, maybe, Neil, that Harvey Elliott could be moving on?
No, I don't think so. I think it became clear quite quickly that he didn't really suit the playing style under the new head coach. Now, this is a lad that's really talented, but I think doesn't have the mobility that we need for the type of game that we want to play. And I know there was a lot of noise from him saying he doesn't want to leave Liverpool. I think even he realised and recognised towards the end of last season that for the sake of his own career, that he would probably look to move on. And I think with the players that have come in particular vets, where is the future for Harvey at Liverpool? I don't really see one. And I think Leipzig probably offers him a decent option. I think the Bundesliga for younger players, he'll play all the time, and that'll help his game develop even further. So it's a little bit sad because he does love the club and he's a boyhood fan. But I think it's probably best for him, and also best for the club that they cash in on what was a really good Euros tournament for him. So his value, I think, is higher now than it will be if he has another season like he's just endured, where he spends a lot of time on the bench.
You can follow the LFC Total Red Football Podcast on X, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok.
Kev, do you think? I mean, he's only 22, or going on 23 or whatever. It's like, do you think that you should give him more of a chance to show what he can do, or do you think it is time to get a profit on him and move him along?
This is like what you said with Nunez. We come hoarding players that we don't necessarily need to hoard. New hairstyles, new way of looking. Sadly, with Elliott, he's in the grey area for me. He's not too quick, and he's a little bit too small. And when you put that in the place where he wants to play, I think if you look at the way this team has been successfully upgraded since Klopp's come in, had he came before then, I think there was absolutely 100% he would be staying at the club. 100%. Yeah. Because the level of our game matches probably his style. We have excelled and propelled ourselves, especially within this summer window, to a level that is elite and is just slightly at the minute, and I hope I'm wrong with this, that is slightly above where I see him coming in and being able to do what he does. Sadly for him, I think, and I think what makes this better, I know people will say, well, he could go to another Premier League club. I think he loves Liverpool that much that he doesn't want to play against Liverpool. So moving out abroad and moving to Germany under the Klopp umbrella, dare I say it, you've got that element of he can go away, he can continue playing, he'll be an asset in the Bundesliga, and we will have an option to either buy him back at a set price, or we'll negotiate something for him so that if he does excel and he does exceed, and we feel that his ability is up to the level that we are at that time, then there's a possibility of coming back. But at the minute, I don't see a world in which Elliott starts a game, and that includes the Carabao Cup games. I just think that'll be detrimental to a player when it's in a World Cup year, has a good opportunity in making that international squad. So for his own best interest, it's best to go to a good side that matches the way the style you play, and you've got and you're getting the game minutes that puts you in the boat to try and be in that squad at the end of the season.
I think I've learned over the years, even before Michael Edwards come along, that Liverpool are such a big club, and I know people go on about Barcelona and Real Madrid, etc., and we all have our opinions because we all have our favourite teams. But Liverpool is such a high quality side in the Premier League that they rarely get it wrong if they let somebody go. And I mean by that, it's like we're saying, we could have a sell on or a buyback clause and everything. Most of the time, it's never activated because when they move out, and I'm not trying to disparage, I'm not linking this to Harvey Elliott as such. I just find that when players go out, I've just seen something this week. Is it Bobby Clark has come back from abroad? He's come back. He's gone to Derby County in the Championship. And it just makes me, there was quite a lot of people gutted, why are we letting him go? He's got a good prospect, moving forward, etc. And at this point, it's proved to be right because he's gone out, hasn't set the world on fire. He's now dropped to the Championship. And I'm not being disparaging against Derby or anybody else, but it's very rare, I find, that Liverpool necessarily make the wrong decision in getting rid of players. Do you think that's a fair assumption, Neil?
I think it's very fair, and particularly with the younger players. So again, if you look at Rhian Brewster, there were certainly some raised eyebrows when he left, and he went for 25 million plus to Sheffield United, and I believe he might be without a club.
No, he's moved clubs. I think at the minute.
Oh, has he moved on?
Yeah.
I think he was at the end of his deal, but I think we've, as you say, we've never been in a position where we're like really regretting the fact that we've let someone go. And I hear, people saying, Quansah will be back in 2 years' time and we'll put a buyback in for Elliott. I'm not sure we'll ever activate those, as you say, because I think historically we have been pretty good sellers, and in particular over the last sort of 8 or 9 years.
Yeah. I think, funny enough, we were just talking about Derby County. According to social media and everything, he's gone to Derby County. So it's
Brewster.
getting... Yeah, Brewster's gone to Derby County.
Yeah.
And that's obviously Bobby Clark, Brewster. And I think, has Owen Beck, has he gone there for the season on loan?
He's gone on loan. I think it was Derby, yeah. So
yeah,
a nice little Liverpool contingent.
I was going to say getting a reunion there, isn't it?
Yeah. There's obviously some link there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Probably the playing style or the manager or something that we like.
One of the other players that is, I think is complete already, is Tyler Moreton, Kev. It's Lyon, 15 million. And as we were just saying about sell-ons, etc., apparently a 20% sell-on fee as well. So is that good business for the club?
Excellent. I think Neil is right with Elliott. I think it just puts it in so it appeases fans and the supporters that we're not going to quickly just get rid of you and forget about you. But putting these sell-ons in works out fundamentally great. Do you know what I mean? Sadly for Brewster, he got injured straight away at Sheffield United and has struggled with his injuries during his career at Sheffield United. He came into helping them with the resurgence to get promoted near the end of the season. He looked as though he was enjoying his football again. But it's what we have to do. Unfortunately, football isn't a nice place for footballers. It's a ruthless place. And we are, at times, can hoard and try and, keep hold of players more than what we need to. I think what we're seeing now is that we're moving away from possibly buying potential to buying elite stars. So, if the academy isn't utilising that, then we utilise the academy in a way that it financially provides substance for us for bringing in elite squad players in the academy. That has its own politics and its own way of looking at that, and some fans will be happy with that. You look at Chelsea do it well with the youngsters. They sold one recently for, I didn't even know who he was, bought him in for 800,000, sold him for 6 million. And that's the kind of sell-on fees that you need to start seeing as a club and utilising. It's all very well that you're getting the players through, but some of these academy players are best going out, and I believe there's some laws now coming in that may change that. I heard recently, which may prevent people or clubs who sell a lot of youngsters to. There's a certain law that may be coming in from UEFA that will hinder that. So again, at the time, if you're getting these players and there's no viable pathway for them, and you look at Liverpool now, we're at that level that, sadly, unless you are a real Ningbo, a Trey Nyoni who's versatile and can play in certain positions, Ben Doak possibly to a certain extent because of his pace. Unless you've got certain attributes that can help this team, sadly, in a way, there will be a point where you'll be in pre-season. That's about it. A few Carabao Cups, and then we'll be looking to move you on to a club that. And I think what we do well is we move players to clubs that will facilitate what we require. So, you know, if you're going on loan, there's a certain amount of minutes that we expect. Otherwise, we'll move on to someone else. Yeah. So as long as we're doing that, then that's great. It's great for Will Wright as well. He's come in, he's proved himself. That doesn't shame he didn't score on Monday. We'll probably get into that a bit later. But you're seeing what we're doing. We're buying those players that are standouts at the minute and doing stuff that on paper and on graphs and on XG, you go, well, that's phenomenal for his age group and his age bracket. Let's go in, get him and see if we can do it. If not, he's still young enough that we can sell him on at some point, and that's how ruthless it is, sadly.
Yeah, I think we're showing signs of being even more ruthless now, and that may have been when Jurgen was there. That, you know, he had a lot of loyalty towards his players. It does feel like a more cutthroat, ruthless environment now. So if Harvey Elliott was under Klopp, he wouldn't be leaving the club. Now Slot's saying, I can't fit him into my starting lineup. We need to maximise his value and sell now. So it does feel more cutthroat. Because even if you go back, Divock Origi, really, he should have been sold after the Champions League final when his value was 20 million. Yeah. But again, we showed some loyalty and we got nothing for him. You know, I love Divock as much as anyone, but it does feel the past 12, 18 months that it has started to become a bit more ruthless.
You get the sense that we've got that kind of Bob Paisley. We've moved from the Shankly of and the order of a Klopp. And I know it's sad to use that analogy, but that's how it feels. You've got that ruthless style that you see it now that is prominently showing how ruthless we are. And he does come across as a gentle giant, but I think he's as ruthless as anyone, or if not worse. And you look at this and the players he's bringing in, and you're hearing how the club's speaking now. We're seeing ourselves as an elite club, and we should be looking at and we should act like an elite club. So we are at the big table more than ever. We are the biggest club, if not alongside Man United, the two biggest clubs in this country. We need to start acting like it, and that's what we do. But as long as it's run well and doesn't go down the road of what they're doing at Old Toilet, then again, it bodes well for us. But you do need to be that ruthless. We need to get out of that hoarding mentality and putting an arm around the player. Sadly, you're not good, and we have to be ruthless and say you're not good enough. Yeah, because the team is the trajectory of this club over the last 4 years is unbelievable. How do you upgrade and level to be in this starting 11? You know, there was a time where we thought Jamie Carragher would be in a starting 11 for Liverpool. Doesn't get anywhere near the club now. Doesn't even get on the bench because of how good this level of team is. And it's vital if you want to be successful.
The LFC Total Red Football Podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts from. Also available on your smart speaker, or you can watch us on YouTube.
I think it was about 12 months ago, I had the opportunity to go around Man City's training facilities with another group of people. So I was in there having a look. And I've also, many years ago, been to Melwood and watched training there. And what strikes me is, I mean, especially now Liverpool have got the AXA training ground, which again is like Man City's. You know, it's super big campus. It's got many pitches and many different levels of footballer and age groups, etc. And what struck me with Man City, and I'm sure it's the same probably in the whole of the Premier League, not even just the top few teams, it was the vast amount of youngsters that now get swept up by these clubs. You know, that they're taken in with the hope, you know, I don't know, I'm just picking a figure in myself, so it's not necessarily a realistic one, but they could take 100 youngsters every summer, and you'll be lucky if one of them makes it. And football, in a way, is very, very hard to get into, but very easy to come out of. as we've said, if you're not quite cutting it at Liverpool, yes, they may try and facilitate another club for you, but the top clubs now are quite easy to go. We've got getting rid of 10 youngsters, and they could drop down into the Championship, League One, League Two, etc., or even non-league. Some of them drop out of football altogether, which is probably heartbreaking for them. But it seems it's almost like just a conveyor belt of we'll just pick out the very top talent one. The rest of you, unfortunately, it's hard luck, and it's a real cutthroat business nowadays, because that's all they want is the next big thing that's either going to do the business for your club or is going to make you lots and lots of money in the transfer market. That's the whole thing now, isn't it? There's no other option in a way.
I think I think it's less than 1% actually make it successful.
Yeah,
I'm fairly certain I heard on the radio one club, and I can't remember who it was, had actually recruited someone to manage the transition when the kids are let go by the club, so to find them other opportunities. But I can't remember who it was, but there was certainly one club that had recruited a specialist for that particular scenario.
Just a very slight thing. Obviously, people who tune into this know my local club is Wrexham FC, and they're doing very well at the moment in the Championship, or they're just about to. No, I'll correct myself. They've just got promoted to the Championship, and hopefully they're going to do very well. But there's rumours that Wrexham would like to sign Lewis Koumas from Liverpool on loan for the season. Now, his family are actually Wrexham-based. They're a local family. Do you think that would be a good move for him, lads? Neil, I'll come to you first. It's a difficult one for myself to predict, because I know Phil Parkinson, the manager. I know the style of football he plays, and I'm thinking, is Lewis Koumas going to fit in? It's not that he hasn't got the talent, I don't think. I just wonder if he'll get a lot of game time in the Championship and that particular side. And I'm not being disparaging against Wrexham. At the end of the day, I'm just trying to see, is that a good fit for a Liverpool player to go on loan to, do you think?
I think if we have any reservations, then it probably won't happen. Although it's with loans, it's always a bit of a gamble. But we've done quite well over recent years with Tyler Moreton, with Harvey Elliott at Blackburn. Looks like we've now got this relationship with Derby, and I think John Eustace is the manager there. We obviously put in some trust in him. So I haven't seen enough of Wrexham to comment about their style of play. I don't know if that's you suggested that they might be a direct side.
Sometimes they can be quite direct, and I know they've just signed Kiefer Moore from Sheffield United, who's a big target man. But on the other side of it, they've got players who can play flowing football. So I suppose maybe he's looking at it in the Championship that he might interchange 2 or 3 different systems. So that then leaves it open for somebody like Koumas to come in and play well. If they're going to do direct football, it won't work.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think we'll do our research, won't we? And if we think it's the right move for him, then we'll sanction it. I think he's one that, and I don't want to sound ruthless, but I suspect he won't make it at Liverpool. He did okay at Stoke last year on loan. I think he started quite well, banged in a few goals early on. So I think it'll be. I think the most important thing at that age, and you alluded to it, is game time. We don't want him to go there and only play, come off the bench. We want him to be starting regularly, because at the end of the day, we want him to come back, having impressed, and probably adding value to his transfer fee. So I didn't really answer your question, but I trust the people at the club enough to know that, and it's never foolproof, because you do get people that come back at the end of December and get a loan elsewhere. But I'm sure the club will try and make the right decision for him.
Yeah, I think, Kev, we've seen it. I think it was last season. Stefan Bajcetic went out on loan first 6 months, and then he's going to do well. Didn't hardly play, and then got moved to the second half of the season to a different team. Was it Las Palmas or Gran Canaria? Got moved out. Las Palmas, because it just worked out where he was the first part of the season. He just wasn't getting the game time. But it's essential for youngsters like this, whether it's Wrexham, Derby, etc., to go and play in a physical team, possibly, or a physical division, to really try and help them move along their game to see if they can fit in at the top level, isn't it?
It is. It's a sad fact that the academy group games aren't as competitive as they used to be. The Central League was always predominant in the late 80s and 90s as a place to see these players. Sadly, those kind of games have been neglected, so you're seeing players move away. And it comes down to minutes. We need to see the stats to see if he is improving. We need to see the analysts, because we are an analytic side, we need to have enough data to decide whether he's going to fit in with our plans, or we need to cash in on the player. And that's only being given when we'll go, well, we require him to have 30 or 50 or maybe 70% of game time. And if that's not getting made, we'll be ruthless and bring them back. So it's a bit of that. Sadly for the kid, they're stuck in the middle and all he wants to do is play football. And sometimes that gets lost, especially with clubs. So, it's a cutthroat business. We make out as though it's nice and it's not, but at that level, the mentality level and the stress levels you go through as a young player is probably more the reason why a lot of them don't actually make it and continue, because they have the skill, but that isn't enough for certain players. Do you know what I mean? So it's one to watch. There'll be a few in the academy that will be moved on, but I think we have an expert academy person in Alex Inglethorpe, who's one of the best. So these will be sent off to certain teams that fit that style of play, and hopefully he does well for himself. If not just for himself. Just go out and enjoy football, and hopefully, if that means he comes back to Liverpool, bonus. If it doesn't, then you can move on with your career, and there's no pathway or there's no right or wrong way to say that you will end up back at the club a bit later on. It's just at the minute, the way the club's working and the way we've elevated, as I've mentioned before, it's just not at your level. You're not at that level yet that we can actually look upon you as that kind of player. But it comes down to the mindset of the players, if they can go utilise that. It's easy for me, who's never been in that, to say, "Man, go, yeah, well, you can just." But imagine being told you're one of the best in the academy, and then you get ruthlessly left behind and discarded as though like you're a worthless person. Do you know what I mean? So it's hard to take.
Yeah, like I was saying, it's a rumor at the moment. I don't know if it's going to come off. I haven't got any inside knowledge, or I'm not in the know. If it happens, then I'll be interested to be able to see him up close, because I do attend them games. It will be interesting to see how he develops. If he doesn't and he goes somewhere else, then so be it.
You're listening to the LFC Total Red Football Podcast.
I just wanted to mention the game Monday that's just passed, the pre-season double-header, basically, against Athletico Bilbao. Played two different sides, one at 5 p.m., one at 8 p.m. Just going to look at both of them overall. One finished was 4-1, the other one was 3-2, I think, wasn't it? In the first game, any standouts for you two guys? Kev, I'll come to you first. Was it, did you look at any of them players and think, definitely they need to be like in and around the first team at all?
It's hard not to be impressed by Rio Ngomona. I think he's shown all through pre-season now the quality he's got already at this age. It's hard not to get carried away. He's coming up to his 17th birthday at the end of this month. Getting an Alpha taxi, leaving the training ground and signing and stuff is just surreal for me. Do you know what I mean? But it's great. It's great to see. It was nice to see Pesky play in goal. I've heard so much about him. I thought he'd done all right. He made a couple of decent saves as well. Very big wingspan. He looks very, very, very big for his age. I think the versatility of Nyoni is going to do him well. It could be the fact that he was playing centre. He played about 3 different positions, and I know everyone is waxadaisical about a 16-year-old. I was more impressed in his versatility and how he played in every single one. He was in the first game probably my man of the match. Sadly, for others who think, "Oh well, it should have been him," but it's I just think it was great. Also, the way we played in the first half, the mixture of the players that are in the grey area for Liverpool, as you say, the likes of Harvey was playing, a few of the players that you think were moving on. Nice that Harvey got emotional at the end, which kind of makes you think that was his last game in a red shirt. Nunez done all right, I suppose. Do you know what I mean? But again, you look at the second game, and it's why we're moving on basically.
Yeah.
But no, they for me standouts were nice to see the goalkeeper, nice to see Trey Nyoni, who I think a lot of people still appreciate, but I think he's getting overlooked in certain things. But I think there's something about him that makes me think he's got a future at the club, and Nagoma as well.
Yeah. Neil, the first game, do you have any standouts? I mean, I don't know if you've seen the game or if it was, to be fair, I don't know if either of you actually watched it live or if you've seen highlights, but it's...
So I was at an airport. I was travelling back from from holiday. So I was kind of following the first game online.
Okay.
And sort of the first half of the second game. But I've watched the highlights since. So it's very difficult not to be impressed with Rio Ingamar. Made big impact pre-season to the point where you're thinking this kid's got to be a year or two away from being in and around and playing for the first team to thinking this guy could break into the squad now and be a real option for us.
Yeah.
From the highlights, Ben Doak I thought looked quite lively. Obviously he scored. I think the goalkeeper probably didn't cover himself in glory on that one. So yeah, it was the two wide boys for me and Nyoni. I like Kev. I think the thing with him, for someone so young, he plays with a lot of maturity. And if I look at our midfield options as they're going to be, I think we're going to have Gravenberch, McAllister, Szoboszlai, Wirtz, Endo, Jones. We've got 6. I think Nyoni probably will be number 7, and viewed as someone that's ready to come in and play minutes as and when required. So yeah, it was the youngsters for me that really stood out.
So I'll stick with you, Neil. What about the second game? Obviously, different team completely. More of what you would say is the established players. What was your thoughts from them?
I was, as I say, I was sat at the airport and I was watching it without sound, and I could just see this tremendously fluid football. Players in big spaces, moving the ball on one touch, two touch. And one player I think that deserves a lot of credit for pre-season is someone who I think got criticised a lot last year, is Dominic Szoboszlai. Mm-hmm. I think he's arguably been our best midfielder pre-season. Gravenberch I think was also very good, but Szoboszlai in that deeper role I thought was excellent. He got the ball, he got it moving, he managed to pick up Ekitike, he managed to pick out Wirtz, as I say, and it just looked really, really fluid. And when I spoke earlier about us uplifting the capability of the team and the squad, I think you started to see signs of it. Ekitike is, it's a first start or second start, and you wouldn't have known. It looked like, he's obviously a very intelligent player. He brings players into play very well. So I think it's really exciting. I think the fullbacks look good. Frimpong will probably start now because Connor Bradley's got a knock. The only slight concern for me is the lack of cover at centre back. Obviously Endo, I think Endo's quite capable when he drops back there. I think he played there a lot earlier in his career, and he's a very good option there. But Gomez injured. It only takes Kanate to pick up a knock, or Virgil to pick up a knock, and we do look short in that area. But yeah, from what I saw on my screen and what I've seen in the highlights, really fluid, really intelligent on the ball and off the ball, and something to look forward to.
I was quite impressed by Ekitike, to be honest. Like I said, I don't know much about him until he got to Liverpool and put the shirt on. This is going to feel like a very weird comparison, but when I first seen him, I didn't realize he was as tall as I didn't realize he was that big. I'm just like, oh, okay, that surprised me a little bit. and his build, not in his mannerisms or the way he plays football, but he reminded me a little bit from years ago when we had Stan Collymore, quite a big lad, and yet he can run. You can see he's got pace on him. It's like, and I just thought, you know what, I like him. He seems to have something about him that, and this is why they've paid a lot of money for him at the end of the day. And it's like they know what they're doing. But he does seem like a good acquisition. And then obviously the other one is Mo Salah, scored from Ekitike's across the goal ball. The other person that stood out for me, because I was interested to watch, I suppose I was watching the new guys, was the guy that's on Kev's t-shirt, because I can see he's invested in a new one that says Vert across it. Some of the moves he was making and the touches of the ball, you can just see straight away. It's like he's got the silky skills, and you can hopefully see how this is going to start playing out. As you say, Dominic Szoboszlai, I think it's going to allow him to maybe run a bit more box to box with Vert in front of him, possibly. And maybe that's the plan all along, because he has had his critics, and I think, well, if he gets a bit more of a defined role of, you do this to set up them, then it could work out that it's great for him as well. So there's lots of little tweaks that Arne Slot is going to make and continue to make with different acquisitions coming in. Were you impressed, Kev, with the second game, and some of the names on show there?
No, I was very disappointed. I have to agree with what everyone said. You know what I mean? You look at the fluidity. I think that's the word that sums up how we played. It was like the Red Arrows were back, but a far better upgrade than what we've seen in recent years, and dare I say, probably going to be better than under when Klopp was there with the players that we've got. I was taken back how easy Vert finds space, creates space, glides through, creates stuff. I know people are trying to stuff of players that he reminds people of. I'd say he's got a bit of Beardsley about him in the way he plays to a certain degree. Some people may disagree, but I just think he's got that kind of creativeness that he knows where he's got 360 vision. He's like Thiago. It's amazing how good he's going to be, and you can see already that by bringing everyone in the way we did. I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, we're going to take time for this team to gel." That's why you bring them in pre-season and give them the minutes that they've got. You look at the fluidity already and how offensively minded we are. It's unbelievable how counter-attacking, how creative we are. We just need to get it right now. And I agree with Neil in the fact that centre-back is more of a concern now to have the reliance on Virgil and Kanate for the whole of the season. I'd rather see someone else in there. I agree with Szoboszlai. I think you need his engine with the players that we've got. That helps to replace his creativeness from last season with a Vert and say to him, I just want you to just be our enforcer in midfield and just run round, basically. I know that sounds like a bit naive tactically from me, but it makes a lot of sense. He needs to be able. His engine is unbelievable. And I think he'll be starting a lot of games because of that. I thought Kerkez was a little bit. He stayed back quite a lot. Frimpong's is rapid. For a right back, to have Nico Williams up against you and made, getting back, tracking back and helping him, and you see him where the positions he's taken up, it was unbelievable. The fluidity is just, honestly, every time we move forward. Are we went 4-0 up after 25 minutes? I'll never know, but there is concerns at the back that we need to address. But very good.
So we've got the season opener. We're coming up to the end of the show, but I will squeeze this in. We've got the season opener coming this weekend at Anfield South, otherwise known as Wembley, and I would imagine, obviously, the main characters, main stars, hopefully for this season, are going to be on show at Wembley, and against Crystal Palace, obviously in the Charity Shield, 3:00 Sunday, I think it is. So I can imagine most of those who played the second game are going to be involved pretty much from the start, you would think, anyway. Only after that do I think possibly we'll rectify the issue at the back with the centre back. Now it could be Crystal Palace's defender, but maybe they wait until that game's out of the way, and then it's just kind of like, okay, we'll go and have him. It depends if they can agree a price. If not, maybe Slot's going to look for the younger centre back that they can maybe build up with a bit more confidence as they go along through the season. But they definitely need to tighten up at the back just in case. But are either of you excited for the weekend? I know it's the Charity Shield, but some managers now, like I'm not going to mention the light blue Manchester name, but that manager there says it's a big trophy now because that's basically what they won. So it's like he's bigging it up. So are we excited for this weekend?
I am. I'm going, so I'm looking forward to it.
Very good, very good.
I think with the Charity Shield, I think it was Bob Paisley that said, not too worried about what the result is on the day. The most important thing is to be there the following year. However, if you do win it, it is nice to say, we've already banked a trophy. So it's the lowest of the trophies that are on offer, but it would be nice. It's still silverware, and it would be nice to win.
Yeah. Kev, are you going down?
No. I haven't done any pre-seasons this season. It's a shield at the end of the day. It's not a trophy. I don't see it any other than a glorified pre-season game. I do think that Slot will want to win it to get that winning mentality at Wembley. But even on Monday, I was happy that maybe someone who's sitting at my seat doesn't get the opportunity to go. It's not an excuse, but it gives other people, the younger fans, to go as well and enjoy it and see, the players that I'll be seeing on a regular basis. I think we do have a good chance and a good opportunity to win. I don't think they've brought anyone in. There's question marks over certain players of maybe leaving, so will that affect their mentality going into it? As long as we can solve the counter-attack that they have, I think we'll have enough with the players that we've got and how big a space you've got. Wembley is, it will show how fluid we were on Monday. Will go up another level because of the width of the pitch, because of the players that we've got and the pace we've got. So I'm looking forward to sitting on my sofa, watching the game as a couch potato, and hopefully we win.
There's some players in football who never get the chance to play at Wembley for one reason or another. So it's like, even in this competition or this game, people like Ekatike now, Wirtz and whoever else, they can look at it and say, right, we've played at Wembley. They can get that off their back straight away. If they win, it's great. It's hopefully puts them in good stead for the rest of the season, moving forward, and give them a bit of confidence and move forward with it. And I just think, well, it's a good day out for the fans, hopefully, like yourself, Nate, if you go in, then I just hope you all have a good time, enjoy it, and get the right results. And then you think, well, it was a good day out then, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it'd be nice to make a statement in terms of the performance.
Yeah.
And as Kev said, with that big pitch, what sort of space are we going to find our players in if we play like we did? I think, it'll be nice to get the victory. The only thing I'm not sure about is whether McAllister will play. Because obviously he's had a bit of a delayed start to his pre-season, so I suspect he'll be on the bench and then return for the Bournemouth game with Gravenberch suspended for that. But I hope to see us lift a trophy. It'd be nice.
On that note, we have come to the end of the show, lads. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on the LFC Total Red podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, you can follow us on YouTube. You can follow us on TikTok, and if you want to listen to the audio versions, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music as well as other places, Smart Speaker, etc., or wherever you get your podcast from. So please give us a like, subscribe, and a follow, and comment on the programs and see, just get involved a little bit.
Thanks for listening. Join us next time for more LFC Total Red Football Podcast.